So I have Sam here who has brought along his Minotaurs, and we've got 1850 points to go through here. So Sam, tell us what you brought.
So I've got a HQ Choice Chaplain in Terminator armour. He's got a Chapter Relic, the Teeth of Terror, so it's +2 strength, AP3.
Okay.
He's got an Honour Guards, non-Honour Guards, a sort of bodyguard, Assault Terminators with Thunder Spears. They're just proxying as hammers.
Fair enough, yeah.
But they look like Spartans, so it's okay. Moving over, we've got a Librarian. He's a Mastery Level 2, and he's just going off the Geokinesis psychic discipline. So he's got Chasm, Warp, Quake, and one for the Bants, Shifting Worldscape, where he can move terrain around. So, 2 troops choices. Got 2 TAP Marine squads.
Yeah, just in front there.
Both got multi-melter plasma gun.
Okay.
Predator with all the las cannons.
Yep.
Dreadnought with assault cannon and heavy flamer in the in the Power Fist. Storm Raven as a heavy support choice. An assault squad, a veteran sergeant with a Power Fist and a plasma pistol, and there's another plasma pistol in there.
Okay.
And last but not least, we've just got a Raptor wing, 2 Storm Talons, assault cannons, Skyhammer missiles, and the land speeder's got a multi-melter and assault cannon.
Brilliant. Okay, thanks for that, Sam. We'll now see what I bought for Black Templars. So it's Tom from BlackToad Studio here, and this is my 1850 points of Black Templars. So leading this army over here is Grimoldus with 3 Cenobite Servitors, and also a second HQ choice of the Emperor's Champion, just to sort of fluff it out a bit. And adding to that, we have 2 big Crusader squads, so 20 man each. So 10 Neophytes, 10 Crusaders. We also have a couple of special weapons here. In this one we've got a melter gun, power axe, and the Sword Brother has a power sword. And to the right over here, it's the same again, except the Sword Brother has 2 lightning claws. So that's the troop choices there. And just behind them we have 1 elite choice, which is a Contemptor Dreadnought with a Keras assault cannon, and that is riding in a drop pod. And to the right over here, another elite choice of 6 Terminators. 1 with lightning claws and 5 with thunder hammers and storm shields, and behind them we have a Raptor wing, except in this one we have 3 land speeders, all armed the same, which is multi-melter assault cannon, and the 2 storm talons have assault cannons obviously, and 1 with Typhoon missile launchers and 1 with a twin link las cannon. And that is my 1850 points. We'll now move on to the game and deployment. Okay, so at the start of this mission we are playing Cleanse and Control. So that is 3 tactical objectives each turn, up to 3, no more. And here are the objectives. So we've got number 3 down here, got number 5 here, number 6 over here, then all the way over here. Got number 1 hiding under here, number 2 here, and finally number 4 over there. Night fighting is currently on, and here is the deployment. So Black Templars, who are currently going first, unless Sam sees in a minute, but we'll get to that in a second, are deployed here. Just the 2 Crusader squads and the 2 HQs are deployed at the moment, because everything else is in reserve. And over here, Sam has got a Rhino sitting behind here, land speeder here, and obviously a Rhino and a Predator here. So Sam, you want to see if you roll and seize the initiative?
I don't want to seize.
He doesn't want to seize? That's fine. Okay.
I did it to Dom,
so you don't want to waste your 6s. That's fair enough. So on that note, we'll go over to Black Templars, turn 1. Okay, so the objectives for the Black Templars in turn 1 are secure objective 2, honour your chapter, and no mercy respite. So for turn 1 movement, the drop pod came in as per the drop pod assault rules and deposited the Contemptor Dreadnought here, so hopefully going to try and take that Rhino out. Over here I did do a combined shooting and movement phase over here just to speed things up, because I was going to run the 2 Crusader squads. That's why they're so far at the table. So obviously this one went a bit further, managed to get a 5-inch run on it. These guys got a little bit stuck underneath the pad here, only getting 3, so moved up quite a bit. We'll now move on to the shooting phase proper, and we'll see what happens. So turn 1, Black Templars shooting, and over here the Contemptor did manage to pop the Dreadnought, luckily with the built-in melter gun and the power fist. Unfortunately, obviously, all the guys got out and have got a couple of good positions here. Obviously, the melter will be snapshotting, but the plasma will be shooting normally at the back. So that is all the shooting, and also that is everything I do in this phase. So we'll just go and have a look at what I scored, and then we'll move on to turn 1 for Minotaurs. So at the end of turn 1 for Templars, we got no mercy, no respite for destroying an enemy unit, which was the Rhino, and obviously we also got first blood. I am also probably going to remove Honour Your Chapter because the likelihood of getting a duel at the moment is quite slim, so that's my one I'm discarding. So we'll now move on to Minotaurs turn 1. So for Minotaurs turn 1, we got behind enemy lines, secure objective 4 and secure objective 5. Now we'll move on to the movement phase. Okay, so turn 1 for Minotaurs, and this is the movement phase. Over here we've had a Rhino jump over the barricade here, didn't immobilise itself and is parked up there. The land speeder has turned around to pay a little attention to the Dreadnought here, and obviously this squad has stayed put because it was already perfectly positioned. The Predator here has turned around to line its las cannons up against the Dreadnought here. So that's all the movement. We'll now move on to the shooting phase and see what has happened. So turn 1 shooting for the Minotaurs, and over here, unfortunately, the Dreadnought had a few too many tank weapons aimed at it. However, it was the plasma at the back that managed to finish it off, so
Hero.
That's gone. And then obviously the Landspeeder Storm there with no target decided to shoot at the drop pod and managed to finish it off as well. So we got 2 kills there. So we'll just go and see what was scored at the end of that turn. So at the end of that turn, Sam did score objective 4 and also has got these 2 left over here, which is secure objective 5 and behind enemy lines. So we'll now move on to Templars turn 2. So at the start of turn 2 for Templars, and here we see all the back ends of all the jet engines firing into the board here as the Raptor wing comes on. So the Landspeeder formation here has gone forward full 12. And these 2 are actually coming in hover mode because they can grab the 2 objectives here that we need this turn. And over here, the 2 big Crusader squads have continued to work their way up the board, and we'll see what they get on their run speed shortly. Heading towards this lowly Rhino here, who's looking a bit kind of like, oh dear. But he'll have support soon, I am led to believe. So that's the end of the movement phase. We'll now move on to the shooting phase and see if any more damage can be done. So turn 2 shooting for Templars, and as the Horde continues to move up, we rolled a couple of good rolls, although not quite good enough for this squad to get it to objective 2. However, this squad rolled a 6, and that was long enough to get one of the neophytes into the objective there, so I will be scoring that at the end of the turn as well. Over here, these 2 Storm Talons shot their longer range weapons all the way over at the Rhino and managed to take off 1 whole point, but that is it. And then over here, instead of shooting, obviously, these Landspeeders went flat out just to get a bit more ground and up the board a bit. So that is the end of turn 2 for Templars, as I have no assault. So over here, we managed to score objective 2, objective 5 and objective 6. That's 3 points, which is really good. We'll now move on to Minotaurs turn 2. So it's the start of Minotaurs turn 2. Here's the objectives that we've got to score this turn. It's objective 5, behind enemy lines, and objective 3. So at the start of turn 2 for Minotaurs, and the Storm Raven came on, and also the Storm Talons from the Raptor formation obviously came on as per their rules. They've zoomed on up here to look down on the 2 Crusader squads along with their little buddy here, who's obviously trying to pick a squad soon for some shooting antics. The tactical squad back up here has moved around just to go forward a bit. The Predator here has located its next target probably down that way, so turned around to shoot down there. So that's it for the movement. We'll now go on and see what happens in the shooting phase. Okay, so at the start of turn 2 for the Minotaurs, a very successful turn for them. Obviously the flyers all came on, and over here the Storm Raven shot its missiles over at one of the flyers over here and managed to take it out, and then used the machine spirit to fire the las cannon at the other one and took another whole point off it, so, and also made it jink. Other things that were jinking are the land speeders here who jinked the las cannon fire coming in over there because they didn't really want to lose 2, but still managed to take 1 whole point off the left hand one there. And over here, devastating fire from the 2 Storm Talons came pouring in from the skies down here and managed to take out a very hefty portion of this Crusader squad. In fact, I think there's only 1 neophyte left now. So they are fearless because the Emperor's champion. So that's that turn, I believe. There's no assaults, so we'll now have a look at what was scored in that turn.
Just discarding that.
Yeah, and that's so Security 3 has been discarded, and these two were not scored. So we'll now move on to Templars, turn 3. Okay, so at the start of Templars turn 3, for my objectives I've drawn for the Emperor, Kingslayer and Secure Objective 1. Now, at the start of my movement phase, my Terminators have shown up and they have deep struck in here, only a small scatter from over here, so not too bad. Land Speeders here have moved up along the causeway there, just trying to get a little bit of a chance to shoot up at this particular Storm Raven here. Moving over to this side, the two Crusader squads have moved up. We'll try and get a charge off on that Land Speeder there, hopefully to get one of the objectives. And these Crusaders here are going to start working towards this objective 1 down here to try and score that as well. The Storm Town, although it jinked, we've got to try and do something with it, so it's moved up to get a shooting solution on the Storm Raven, or possibly the Predator, depending on how well the Land Speeders do. So that's that. We'll now move on to the shooting phase and see what happens. So as we embark on turn 3 shooting for Templars, all these units here, so the Land Speeders and the Talon, they're all snap shooting, obviously, even though it would have been a flyer anyway, so it wouldn't have made any difference. They managed to take off 1 whole point from the Storm Raven and also made it jink, so hopefully that should help with the shooting phase. Although it does have power of the Machine Spirit, so has a chance. Terminator squad that destruct did a run move and I just spaced out a bit just to try and get a bit closer. Over here, this squad needed a 6-inch run to get into the objective. Unfortunately, it fell by 1 inch, so it is currently sitting a little bit out of there, but under the guns of the Storm Town, so it depends what they do next turn. And over here, this squad is ready to charge, so we'll now move on to the assault phase. So over here, turn 3 assault with Templars, and as you can see, the Land Speeder has met its final doom to the many scouts that jumped over it and pummeled it to death. So that's gone. So at the end of that turn, that means I've scored 1 victory point, which was for the Emperor one, which basically means I had to get 1 successful charge, and I will be keeping the other 2 because I think they're achievable. So that's the end of that turn. So 1 point for me, and now move on to turn 3 for the Minotaurs. So the top of turn 3 for Minotaurs, and here are the objectives for this turn: secure objective 5, behind enemy lines, and hold the line. For starters, the reserve rolls came in again, and the Terminator squad has dropped down here on objective 5, so that's 1 in the bag already. Over here, this Storm Town has flown in behind here, so obviously the turret-mounted assault cannons can get on the my Storm Town there. And over here, a small tactical error on my part here, forgetting that there was stuff inside the Storm Raven, has put a couple of my units in jeopardy. But hey ho, it happens. So down here we've got Land Spears, which are going to be facing off this lovely Dreadnought, and the unit that I'd forgotten about, which was the Assault Terminators, and so the Assault, not Terminators, the Assault Squad, is coming in to deal with the Terminator squad here. We'll probably tie them up. Also on the battlefield over here, this Storm Town has come out of flight mode and dropped down, ready to put some more fire in this particular direction, along with this squad and this squad. So we'll see how many they can whittle down from the full man, 20-man squad here still. So that's it for movement. We'll now move on to the shooting phase and see what damage is done. So as we enter turn 3 for the Minotaurs shooting phase, oh dear Lord, what happened to the poor Black Templars in this turn was quite painful. Down here, bolt pistols fired in and killed 2. A plasma pistol fired in, killed another 1, and the las cannon, I think, finished 1 off. Is that right? Yeah. So pretty nasty there. I rolled 1s on all the bolt pistol things, so it's just terrible, really. Over here, basically, we had a bit of a combo shooting here. So this squad here, the Talon, and this squad here, all shot in over here and cleared out about, I think, 8 people from that particular squad there. So not overly too bad. They're fearless, they're not running away. And over here, the assault cannons fired in to the speeders here, and also some weaponry off the Storm Raven, and managed to take 1 point off. And then finally up here, this flyer shot at my Storm Town and removed it from the board. So that's pretty good going for the Minotaurs. Exactly, I think it's the beast. We'll now move on to the assault phase and see how these guys fare. So down here, as we end the assault phase, this squad here managed to remove the remaining 2 Terminators in combat, so very sadly they have now moved off this way to assist over there. The Dreadnought predictably finished off the 3 land speeders as well. So overall there, from my point of view, an extreme tactical error on my part led me to have probably the worst turn of the game so far. However, we move on. So at the end of that turn, Sam actually scored 3 points there. So he had hold the line, behind enemy lines, and security objective 5 all scored this turn. So that's the end of turn 3 for Minotaurs. We'll now move on to turn 4 for Templars and to see if they can get a bit of honour back. So at the start of Templars turn 4, we have security objective 1, Kingslayer and Scour the Skies. So as I've only got 2 units left on the board, which are the 2 Crusader squads, still hanging in there. They have moved up to get into positions for some assault. We're going to try a very lucky assault here, probably on this particular unit over here. It's going to need a pretty hefty charge. I think a 9-inch was what I measured in the end. So we'll see what happens. We'll probably move straight over to the assault phase because I don't want to thin them out too much, but I will just check, and if that is not the case, obviously you'll hear it's the shooting phase in a second. Okay, so at the start of the assault phase, these guys were going to charge. This squad actually did make it in and managed to butcher the squad there reasonably well. The Emperor Champion did most of the work, getting 6, I think, killing 6 with his initial attacks. Because obviously he had rage and etc. for charging. And then over here, this squad was attempting to charge the Storm Tan. Unfortunately, fell short by 1 inch in the end, which is a bit of a shame because it would have got a Scour the Skies if we'd managed to kill it. So anyway, at the end of that turn, I managed to score 1 victory point for secure objective 1. I am at the end going to get rid of Kingslayer because I don't think I'm going to get to the Warlord even if that happens. So that leaves me with secure objective 1 has been completed and Scour the Skies left in my section there. So that is the end of turn 4 for Templars. We'll now move on to turn 4 for the Minotaurs.
What do you want?
Okay, so at the start of Minotaurs turn 4, we have overwhelming firepower, secure objective 1 and domination, which are needed to be achieved. So we'll now see what happens. Okay, so turn 4 for Minotaurs, and over here the grip is starting to tighten on these 2 squads here as everything starts to turn their attention to this area of the board. So this assault squad's moved round, this tactical squad's moved, this has moved back slightly as with the Storm Tan to get a little bit more range on them. This Storm Tan has turned around into hover mode and started to get a couple of targets down here as well. Over here, the Predator's turned to train its las cannons on that squad over there as well. And lastly, the Storm Raven is just going to chip off the last few on that side there along with the Dreadnought there. So we'll now move on to the shooting phase and see what occurs. Okay, and down here, the fire came in from multiple sources, from over here, here, and here. And unfortunately finished off the Emperor Champion and his squad, so that is not so good for us. So at the moment we are now sitting on just these guys over here. However, at the back here, these 2 sneaky units over here, comprising of the Storm Raven and the Dreadnought down here, took off a couple of Marines hiding down there, and one was took one wound, I should say. So that's that. We'll now move on to the assault phase. Well, there is actually no assault phase, so we move on to the scores for this turn 4 for Minotaurs. It was scored 1 point for overwhelming firepower. We'll now move on to Templars turn 5. Okay, at the start of Templars turn 5, we've drawn Psychological Warfare and Secure Objective 2. And we still have Scour the Skies. So anyway, over here, what we've actually got going on here is the last Crusader squad decided to move this way to attempt to get a couple of assaults off here to possibly get Psychological Warfare if we can make one of them fail a morale test, but we shall see. Obviously, we do have Objective 2 to be held, but I don't think we're going to be in range of that by the end of this, but we shall see. So we're going to move on to the shooting phase and see if we can thin out the herd a little bit, and then we'll move on to the assault phase after that. Okay, so turn 5 shooting for Templars. We fired a few rounds in here and managed to kill 1 with a melter gun in the end. However, no other casualties. So we're now going to try and pull off a nice multi-assault and we'll see what happens. So in turn 5, assault for Templars, and down here the fight was 4 kills for the Templars and 2 to the Minotaurs. So, and it resulted in a failed leadership. However, they did just catch each other, so they're still in fight. However, at the end of that turn, that does also mean that I score psychological warfare for 1 point because I made them fail 1 psychological test. So that's the end of turn 5 for Templars. We'll now move on to turn 5 for the Minotaurs. So as we move into turn 5 for Minotaurs, these are the points that have been drawn. So we've got Ascendancy, Secure Objective 1 and Domination. So at the start of turn 5 for Minotaurs and the movement phase, all the flyers have done a little bit of movement here. So obviously got one of the Storm Ravens has flown up over here, and then over here the Storm Town has dropped down over here, probably to hit on Objective 6 I'm assuming, to hold for this is for Ascendancy and probably Domination at the same time. They should be getting some good points here. Over here, the 2 squads here are lining up to try and finish off this last Crusader squad down here. I'm hoping they hang on for 1 more turn personally, but we shall see. Anyway, that is the movement phase. So we'll now head on into the shooting phase and see what happens. So at the end of turn 5 assault for the Minotaurs, the Templars are still hanging in there, managed to win combat again. However, the leadership was passed. They're still locked in combat at the moment. So we're going to see what the scores were achieved by the Minotaurs. So at the end of turn 5, Domination was done, and also Ascendancy, and also Secure Objective 1, which resulted in 7 victory points to the Minotaurs. So what we'll do over here is Sam is going to roll to see if this game continues on to turn 6.
You don't want this, do you?
Not really. Oh dear. So turn 6 for Templars, and we've got Secure Objective 2, Hungry for Glory and Ascendancy. I don't think I'm going to get at least one of them. So that's the objectives. I'm obviously in combat, so we're probably going to head straight into the assault phase on this turn. So we'll see you in a second. Okay, so Templars, turn 6 assault phase, and down here we've won another combat somehow, and the battle continues here. So that is actually the end of my turn. So during that turn, I managed to actually score Hungry for Glory, which is to issue a challenge, which is another point. However, I'm obviously going to discard Ascendancy at the end of that turn. These moves secured it to 2. So we'll now move on to Sam's Minotaurs, turn 6. So turn 6 for the Minotaurs, and over here we have Secure Objective 1, Secure Objective 2 and Secure Objective 3. And in the movement phase over here, Dreadnoughts moved around a bit, and I think there's some shuffling from the flyers over here, and this one, no, he stayed put, didn't he, in the end?
Yes, yes.
So that is the end of the movement phase. We're going to move straight into the assault phase as there is no shooting. So let's see what happens. So at the end of turn 6 for Minotaurs, as we hover over his deck of cards for his objectives, he scored another 3 points for objective 1, 2 and 6, I think, wasn't it? Yeah. So that's another 3 points there. We'll now see if the game goes on yet another turn. So Sam, you want to roll one more? You have 4 up this time.
Absolutely.
No, and that is it. Right, we'll just go and sort out a few bits and we'll come back with the scores. So at the end of that battle, really close game. Minotaurs 16 and Templars 8. No, also so it was a good fun game. A majority of the issues there were my own doing, so which I can fully admit. However, it was a really fun game to play, as usual. So Sam, any favourite moments or units of the game?
Units of the game, the Terminators.
Yeah, because they've made a little house down here, I think, for holding the line and just make sure that objective was definitely secured.
Well, once again, same game as Dom's. The Flyers just
definitely, they were very, very good. They got some good shooting off and got a number of my flyers anyway.
Yeah.
As for me, it has to be Grimaldus' squad because the fact they're still on the table, and they did actually win a hell of a lot of combats, to be honest. So quite happy with them, and well, that's it really. So we'll see you in the next game, guys. Take care, everyone.
Boost.